It's a story that's hard for me to tell because I don't understand it myself. In many ways, I thought we were the perfect family. We were a Christian family living a full life and active in church. My daughter and twin boys caused little trouble growing up, and I looked forward to a long life together with them. Eventually, the twins graduated and moved out. Then, on August 17, 2005, my perfect world was shattered when my son Brian, who was a month from turning 31, was in a drunken state and committed suicide. His twin brother Kevin found him. He was never the same. Our entire family was in shock and devastated, but nothing could have prepared us for what was to come. Almost 5 years later to the day when his brother had taken his life, Kevin climbed the stairs at home and committed suicide as well. We just couldn't believe this was happening again. There is a stigma for asking for mental help, but we had to seek help from professional counselors, our church family, and God.
Well, Miss Frankie, thank you so much for being here. Can you think back to, your early years as a mom? Just what are the expectations that you might have had for your family in the future, for your daughter, for your two twin boys?
My expectations was that we were going to live the happily ever after, and my kids were going to grow up, and I was going to have grandkids, and we were going to all have all of those family holidays. That wasn't the case. I have a lot of secondary losses that I grieve over. Things that, even though when it's happy occasions, there's always a little bit of a hole in my heart because something's missing. My boys aren't there. When it first happened, I was mad. I was hurt. And I would scream out at God, "Do you hear me? Are you even listening? How could this happen to us?" It was so painful. It would have been so much easier just to drive my car off of that bridge at the reservoir than to face that next day. And at that point, I was desperate. I really needed help. I had my Sunday school teacher, Jan Feldman, at the time. She and several other ladies came, and they were telling me, "God loves you." And I remember saying, "Then where was he Thursday?" And Jan said, "Then tell him about it. He's big enough to take it. Just don't stop talking to him." And that was the best advice anybody gave me during this process.
Can we just talk about that pain part? You talked about being mad at God. How did you sense God's presence?
I couldn't sleep. I got up and I would go and I would read the Bible. And I was reading in Job. And God started talking back to Job. But it was me he was talking to. And he said, "Did you lay the earth's foundation? Do you hold back the ocean waters? Do you cause the mountain to tremble?" And I had to humble my haughty spirit and say, "No, God, you're God. I don't like your plan for my life, but I'm going to trust you." And I think that was probably the turning point for my healing. But it's a long journey, Chip. It doesn't happen overnight. I love my life. I love my grandchildren. I do get joy out of the sunshine and just being out by the pool and listening to the birds singing and walking around and seeing the flowers blooming and going across that bridge at the reservoir that I once felt like I could just run my car off of. As I drive across it now, I just throw those cares. They're out there in the reservoir. I've seen so much good that's come out of my story. I've had 3 grandchildren that have been baptized. I can look down the rows, and we take up 2 rows of one section at the church. I see God in all of this, even when I couldn't see him, when I was in the darkness. But I was in the darkness. It wasn't him. He was always the light.